Hey everybody, welcome back to When Harry Met Board Games, where we feed our people with relatable content, and our victory condition is your satisfaction. I'm Harry.
And I'm Lily.
And before we go any further, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button somewhere on the lower right-hand side of your screen. That way we can move on with the rest of this video. But today we have another episode of Lily's Best Games of the Month, also known as Board Games of the Bride, where we cover some of Lily's recent games that she's learned. She shares her thoughts, her experiences, her opinions, and her feelings about these games. So let's get straight to it with the first game.
All right, and the first game is Azul. There you go. Which means blue. Which is my favorite color, by the way, and my 4-year-old. So, and Harry's.
Yeah.
We're wearing blue right now. Anyway, Azul has been standing in our book of, what is it?
Shelf of Shame.
Shelf of Shame for quite a while. But lately, I've actually seen it on Instagram being played, and Harry has made it go higher on our games of the year to make it fit into the first half of the year. Anyway, really like the game. We're just going to go through it real quick. It has some boards in which you're supposed to... Well, actually, never mind that. We never play with that side. It has this board in which we're supposed to fill this. So let's say like it has tiles and you're putting one type of tile, you can pick of which one. So everybody has the same board to begin with, and everybody's competing to pick different tiles from like the 5 piles on the floor on the table. And if you put one type of tile, then that one type has to match whatever you have empty on the first. Then it takes 2 types for it to match the one that you want to fill, and so on and so forth. So you're never going to get all types of tiles in one go. So it takes many turns for you to try to accomplish 2 of one kind, 3 of one kind, 4 of one kind. It may take even several rounds for you to accomplish the 5 or the 4 of one kind. And you have to pick out of there's like 5 different, how do you call it?
In a 2-player game, there's like 5 different spots to choose
5
from.
different spots. So if for whatever reason you have more tiles on the spots than the ones that you need, then you could use the amount that you need, and then the remainder gives you negative points as well. So you win by either going across, right?
Well, you score points in different ways. A straight row of 5 in a row scores you a lot of points. A column of 5 in a row gives you even more points. And every time you place a tile down, you score for all the tiles that are adjacent to it.
But the game, you can trigger the end of the game or not, right?
Yes,
you can trigger the
when
end
you
of
have the 5 in a row. 5 in a row triggers the end of the game.
So it depends on what the other player is doing too, so you can kind of play defensively and see, okay, maybe I don't want to trigger the end of the game because I know I'm working on a few things and I'm catching up. And then Harry looks at my board and be like, oh, I do want to trigger the end of the game this round because I don't want to give her a chance to catch up to me. So once you're done with one row in a row, so you are able to end the game. And so this is Azul. It is a very Zen-like game, one of my favorites, definitely for what we played in the month. And it has a nice little pretty blue bag.
Yes, the presentation of this game is gorgeous.
They have.
The tiles are beautiful.
Look at just the colors. The tiles are amazing.
This is probably Lily's favorite.
Absolutely. It has like even very beautiful things where the tiles reside.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Real quick question. Are you interested or curious about the sequels to this game?
I am. I actually follow other people on Instagram that are hardcore gamers, and I've seen some of their Instagram. Yeah. What is it, live?
Yeah, I think the person you're referring to, I think Azul might actually be his favorite game of all time.
I know.
Or one of his favorites.
It's a Wusung?
It's Wusung.
Wusung, if you're listening, we tagged you. Wusung Board Games. Follow him.
Wusung's the man. Great Instagram page. Great Instagram page. All right, let's move on to the next game here.
All right, the next game, Robinson Crusoe. All right, it's pretty heavy. It's very meaty.
Oh, yes.
It takes a long time.
More or less.
And you'll rarely win. So tough. From all of those things that I just said, you would think that I would hate this game. I actually really, really like this game. Let me tell you why I think I would hate it. Because I've played similar games where you're playing against the game and you're constantly losing. And you're like, I almost made it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, it's a game like that. We have a Bible-based game called Kings of Israel.
Kings of Israel, yeah,
it's
that's
a game
tough
like
one.
that, like games that you just play and you're playing out of spite after a while because it's like just.
Lily does. I actually
I
enjoy
can do
these
it.
games.
And then you're just like, I don't want to see that again. Just put it in the back of something, sell it. I don't care. I don't want to see it anymore. And then Harry's like a year later, can you please play one more time? No, I want to. So yeah, this is not that kind of game. This type of game is, I don't even know how to call it. It's brilliant, is what it is.
It's a great game. Well, it's worker placement. You're placing your workers in spots, but it has a creative way of executing the worker placement.
Just look at how many awards in different places it won.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm telling you, this game. They even have like another YouTube channel doing like a live.
Yes, Ronnie
review.
Smith's Watch It Played. Yep.
I mean, because I guess people just look at it, read it, and be like, no. But if you just give it a try, I can guarantee. Yeah, the book they're like, it's a textbook.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one.
If you just give it a try, I can guarantee you it will quickly become a favorite. Maybe not. And it's like I don't even mind playing it on a work night because like I really enjoy it. You know how rare that is. I'm usually like, okay, Gary, is it a 30-minute game? Is it a 45-minute game? Like, is the kid gonna wake up upstairs? That kind of thing.
I think what makes the difference between this and some of the other games that you talked about is that mechanically speaking, the game keeps you intrigued. I think those other games, you would have liked them if they would have been easier to win. But the fact that they're a little bit mechanically simplistic and tough to win frustrates you because on the one hand, you're not being distracted or immersed by the mechanisms of the game, and on the other hand, at the end of the game, you're frustrated that you lost. This game, even if you lose, I think you're enjoying the process so much that you kind of forget. You still get frustrated when you lose, but I think you kind of forget about it, at least in the moment while you're playing.
Yeah. I honestly really liked it. Just gonna open a board real quick. A part of it, unfortunately, we have some casualties.
We suffered some casualties.
But essentially, there's like, the board is like the island.
We still have the rest right here.
Oh, right here.
Yes.
It doesn't make much of a difference when you lay it out.
It's the island.
But the board is like the island. Just push this forward. And you decide, it's a cooperative game. So you decide what you want to do with your time. So you only have the daytime to work with. It's just like you feel like you're in this island actually like hunting and gathering or gathering or hunting or trying to set up like shelter because nighttime will come, etc. So it's a very immersive game.
Absolutely.
One that you feel like you're playing, you're living. It has several characters. Friday and the dog are, other than the two players, you're not alone in the island. You have Friday and you have the dog. I do have to say for Friday, I don't know. I felt a little iffy about him just because they don't feed him. They don't shelter him. He's like a savage that doesn't like need anything. You just like abuse him till the end. I don't know. I felt
Lily's heart goes out to Friday.
My heart really does. Like Friday just like works for free. Like what is this? The age of slavery ended. But I guess back in Robinson Crusoe's times, maybe it hadn't. So it's very thematic, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Give it a chance.
All right, let's move to the next game, and that would be this one right here.
Alrighty, so this one is called Tower of Babel. So up until this game, the other two games we have only played it 2-player game. But this game we have our friend Andrew. Andrew, if you're watching, and if you're not, you should watch it.
Yes,
we just mentioned you that we played it with. So I really, really liked it. Because of that, every time we play with him, he definitely brings a different spirit, a winning spirit. But he didn't win.
He won one of the games, and I won one of the games.
Anyway, I have not won.
I won't say who didn't win. Oh,
I have not won, which is why this is not the best for me, but that's okay. So the Tower of Babel, very interesting, graphic-wise. It's a little grayish.
It's very subpar quality-wise. Component qualities and graphic design and all that stuff is very. It's an old game. It's a 15-year-old game, but even so, it's still. Leaves a lot to be desired.
Plausible. It's blue, so I guess I like it because of that. I guess it could be yellow. I hate yellow mustard colored games. Those are the worst type of graphic games. Even though the mechanics in the games might be better, it's just hard to look at for me. But a little bit of nudity on this one, so PG. 13.
Yeah, but the mechanism here is area majority, like
Yes.
El Grande and Tikal, which are both games you like.
So this game also, you can trigger the end. You can trigger the end of a round, right? As well, or you cannot. So you choose where you want to spend your what is it? Is it coins? Is it, how do you represent
Your
it?
resources are cards.
Your cards. You could choose with cards, and you put like different houses. Is it like houses on top of them? Anyway, if any of them, let me see. What is it?
Once you complete a stage, a wonder, each wonder takes 3 stages. Once you complete that 3rd stage, that triggers a scoring round.
And once you gather, because there's 3 different types in each wonder, once you gather all of one of the types, then that completes the game, right?
Yeah, there's 4 types, and once all of one type runs out, that is the end game trigger. Yep.
So there is no set time for this game. There's no like amount of rounds in it. It can kind of go on depending on the amount of players, which it is intriguing. And like I said, when we play with Andrew, it's very fun. So I don't know how I would feel with a 2-person game, because I feel like it would be definitely better with 3. So this is definitely.
No! This doesn't even allow you to play 2 players.
Right?
No,
that's why.
Because remember, part of this game is your opponents are offering you a trade offer, and you have to pick which one to accept. If it was a 2-player game, you would always accept the same person's offer, right? So
exactly.
It needs a 3-player minimum.
There's also that as well. So I'm looking forward to, hopefully after this quarantine is over, playing it with more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great.
Anyway, not much I can say about it, other than you kind of just have to play it.
It's a pretty basic game, but I think if you like that type,
easy to game.
Yeah.
Rulebook is literally a page long. You can kind of literally, I think there were some questions unanswered for us during the last game that we kind of had to make up on the spot.
Not really.
Rudimentary pieces in not the teal color that I like, but that's okay because I'm still blue, and it has a blue border, and so we're good. So that is my review of this game, and the cards are a little small for my taste. But we'll be playing it in a 3-player game, never in a 2-player game.
Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the next game here.
All right, the next game. How very appropriate for the times that we're living in right now.
That's what we need right now, a cure.
The Cure. We could be scientists working on the cure. Okay, so this is another game. I guess the theme of this month was cooperative games that we played against the board. So much like Pandemic, the theme is the cooperation. So both, I feel like it's meatier than regular Pandemic. Wouldn't you agree? Just because we've played with the same characters and we still haven't explored everything.
Yeah, it's different. It's I don't know if it's
less
meatier.
Repetitive.
I guess it's more. I guess maybe it's more stimulating in some ways.
I really like it more than Pandemic. To me, Pandemic is after you play it a few times, you can kind of predict which way it's gonna go.
This game is definitely unpredictable.
This is very
because you're rolling dice. Let's let them know this is a dice version of Pandemic.
It is a dice version of Pandemic. It does have a teal color, so it won me over right away. Earth tones all the way. Depending on which type of person you're playing with, and I guess there's a ton of people that you could be.
Yeah, you got a good amount of characters.
Which we've only been 2, so we're just trying to win the game with those 2 just to see if it's possible.
Yeah.
So you draft dice. It's like a dice. You roll the dice, then
you got the infection dice that you roll, and then also you have your own character. Each character has their own unique dice that has slightly different size. There's some overlap, but each character has a slightly different configuration of their dice.
Some characters could cure everything where they are, if it's 2 or more of the infected stage. Some characters could fly over to different places. It has this ring that kind of keeps track of the outbreaks and the infection rate. Yeah. And you die if you make it all the way to the 5 of the infection rates, or if you make it to 7 or more.
Yeah, if you make it to the crossbones here,
to the 8th,
then you die.
It's very easy to have an outbreak because essentially what it is this. Oh wait, hold on. Which one is the middle one? There's another one.
This goes in the middle. Yeah, and then these 6 little discs each represent different part of the world.
So like it lays around, like a bunch of discs are around here, and then as you cure the dice, because you cure them by actions on the actual white dice that allow you like a little syringe. As you cure them, all those cured dice go in the middle. That doesn't mean that you're out of trouble. No, that middle dice, if there is an outbreak, it'll make you roll whatever's in the middle plus whatever you have, the amount, right, that you have to draft from the bag, and roll them all, and then like assign them to their each to their number, because this goes by number.
Yes, all the threes will go onto this
there of different colors, and then when you get to more than 3 of each color,
that
in each
creates
place,
an outbreak.
There's an outbreak that affects all the other little round spots around it. It's very intricate, and you can literally have like 4 outbreaks in one roll and be like, what?
And
Craziness.
we never won at this game.
We have never won,
and we played a good amount of times.
I am very intrigued, and I still would rank it pretty high.
I have heard some people say that this game is easier with more people, and it makes sense to me.
Maybe because there's more people, you still have to go meet the other person and give them the dice. I'm like, my type of person required less amount of dice to cure. You have, in order to cure, you have to roll like a 13 with the dice that you have of that same disease. So yeah, it's a luck-based game, but the outbreaks are not luck-based. The outbreaks are like,
there's luck, but there's absolutely ways to somewhat mitigate it. You got some event cards that are very helpful with the mitigation of.
And you can
things.
roll, if you roll any like little.
The biohazard symbols, those are the bad ones.
No, the good ones. What are they called? That plus type symbol.
Oh, it's like the health symbol,
it's
the
like
cross,
a health symbol,
the special cross emblem.
The cross emblem. If you roll those, and they buy you actions of cards.
Yes,
that may be
you could use those to like as a currency.
But yeah, we have never won.
We have not. We have not.
Sounds like COVID-19 to me. Pandemic, the cure.
Yeah, good game though. Good game. All right, let's move on to our next one.
All right, the next one. The next one is the Pillars of the Earth. Happy to say I've won it the times that we've played it. So
you all needed to know that.
Just so you know, I rock at this game. I also introduced Harry to the book. No, I didn't introduce the book version, but to the movie, short story movie.
Yeah, it's like a series
movie
of episodic series of dramas. Yeah,
it's very much
good.
dramatic.
It's really good.
This is not a dramatic game at all, but it's very thematic. So for that, I give it thumbs up. The cathedral in Kingsbridge? Kingsbridge, which I guess is a real place in real England.
Yeah.
Very easy to play. I find it very stimulating. They spent a lot of time and money and refining and editing this amazing board.
Beautiful board. Gorgeous.
It is essentially, it could rival any current video game. And this game came out when?
2007.
Yeah, so this game is like 13 years old. And
2006, I think.
Seriously, you're like living in this place.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, even if the game wasn't that great, I'd still find an excuse to bring it to the table every once in a while.
So it's like, it looks really busy, right? And that can be very confusing. But look, they came up with an amazing functionality, which is like everything goes clockwise. So everything is numbered and you go clockwise. So you first go to the first, you resolve the first action out here.
Yeah.
The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, yada, yada,
Absolutely.
all the way until the 14th action. And those are the places, it's a worker placement game, and those are the places that you can choose your little workers to go to. That is some of the workers, because it's like there's two sets of workers that you can replace. There's a set that buys you cards that allow you to get resources on the board, and there's a set of, they call it the
master builders.
The master builders that allow you to build things. Could be resources, or could be actions, or could be cards that allow you to score points. And you score points. I actually scored all the way to the 60 this time around, and the previous time I made it all around the board.
And again, you all needed to know that.
Just so you know, very fun. And then I'm not sure, what I didn't get is like this part. So as you're going through, you're drawing after the second,
the master builder phase.
After the carbine phase, you're drawing blindly from the tiles, and then you're
from the worker
tiles
inside his bag.
And the bag. And then you have to pay in coins. So like it's victory points, but it's also the victory points. There's also like a coin that allows you to buy different things. And you can go first if you pay like 7 coins, or you can go, if whoever draws second can go second if they pay the same amount, all the way to you get to 0.
Yeah.
Or you could just wait until everybody gets to 0 and then no one pays anything and everybody does their action for free. But it depends, right? Because if you really think that your spot in the board is jeopardized, then it might be worth it for you to pay.
Absolutely.
It is England, so there is a king and there is taxes, and so you will get taxed at every stop. Every round you get taxed. There's not a set of rounds now, is there?
There is. There's 6 rounds.
Oh, there is
Michael
6
Renek
rounds.
is really good about making his game last a specific amount of rounds.
I'm telling you, like, I'm half tired and I'm like, I can play this game and win. It's a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's worker placement. Thank you for that. It's worker placement. Lily loves worker placement. I've been taking it easy on her for these first couple plays just to let her ease into it. But yeah, no. So I love it. I appreciate the game, whether I win or lose.
Cool little fact. The 6 rounds are represented by building your cathedral. Is very much thematic, which this is amazing. So you have like little pieces that every time you finish your round, you're like putting a different piece on top. You can configure your cathedral different ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a little kid game.
And it's just a reminder of what round you're in, really.
Exactly. So you could just kind of like be like, that's my cathedral, and we'll call it a day. So it's very, very cool. Really liked it. They put a lot of thought into it. Really nice wooden pieces. Anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
Love it. You won't regret it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's get to our last new game that we played this month. Right here.
The last game we've played is Glass Road. Rainer, what is it? Uwe Rosenberg.
Yes.
Uwe, you never disappoint. Uwe. Glass Road. If you played any of other Uwe Rosenberg games, you will find that he really likes to use this dial. See, this is exactly what I was talking about when I put negative criticism on La Havre and Lamport. Right? No, was it the Lamport? Because I try to use the dial and like they should have just made it a different game altogether. I really liked it that in this case it is a different game, and so I can kind of focus on it more. So in this case there are 2 dials. Each player has 2 dials with different resources, and it's a little tricky because you start with X amount of resources, and then in order to move the dial doesn't move at every round like other Uwe Rosenberg games. The dial only moves if the 2 sides of the 0, if the 2 spots that happen to be next to the zeros are empty. And then the dial moves until it's no longer at 0, clockwise. The thing about that is that you may be rich in other things, but as the dial is moving, you're like losing resources too. But you have to move the dial, because then how else are you going to get your glass?
And that symbolizes the consumption of certain goods to produce another good, brick or glass.
It is a give and take. This game is certainly a give and take. So you have to do that if you want ever see glass, or if you want to ever see what's a brick, right?
Yeah.
Clay.
Yeah, brick and glass are the 2 major resources.
Which are like the backbone of this game. So you absolutely are going to be losing constantly. I really liked it. We played it a couple times, right?
Yes.
And it was really good. I find that the pieces are really quality. It reminds me a lot of Agricola. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I mean, it has, obviously, it's Uwe Rosenberg.
I know, but like even like whoever designed this.
Oh, the artwork? I think most of Uwe's games are done by the same artist. I forget his name.
He's very thematic, I have to say.
Really good.
Anyway, so you also start with the let's see, like a player board.
Yeah, you're starting like.
Very much like a brick.
Land, yeah.
You also start with like a place of land where you start with pre-existing places like forest, pits of water, some other sand pits, and I don't know what this other forest in gray or
the groves
are. And you can remove some of them to make space for different buildings that allow you to produce certain stuff, or you can trade, or you can put buildings and keep those things adjacent to it, so it can score you more points or more resources. So really, really cool game. Really cool little pieces. You never disappoint, Uwe. You're always like very immersed in your user experience.
Great game.
It was the last game that we played out of all of this, so I look forward to playing it more often.
Absolutely. Rapid fire, real quick. which of these games, or which of these, maybe two of these games, stood out. And I feel like it was a great month for us playing new games. Which of these two games you feel stood out the most to you? And a brief description as to why.
Stood out the most because like either
it impressed you the most, you liked it the most, or maybe even surprised you the most. I don't know.
Okay.
Just which ones do you want to talk about? Which ones do you want to highlight?
2. Oh man.
Tough, huh?
3.
Okay, tell us. Just make it
6
quicker
games.
since it's going to be 3.
The one that surprised me the most is absolutely Robinson Crusoe. Because I was so like, really?
Dreading it, yeah. You thought you were going to be a castaway.
Like Harry was like, three days earlier, you know, we're booking this Robinson Crusoe for Wednesday night.
I schedule it in.
The day of the morning. Remember the thing about Robinson? Like he's like, I set an alarm for Robinson. So it was a dreaded experience. Okay. And I went in there like expecting to lose, which we did. we won only once out of all the times played.
And which other two? Which other
and
two?
Definitely we ended up really enjoying the losing part. I would say this is a boring type cover, and I didn't understand the name either.
Yeah.
So for me not getting the back end of the story, the theme, not knowing how the heck you need brick to make a glass or anything, it's still really, really enjoyable. So you can be totally blind about the theme. I wish I connected more with the theme. Like maybe I did live in Europe, but still. And
which is the third one you want to show love to? Tough, huh?
His heart sunk when I didn't pick Pillars of the Earth.
I'm fine with that. Wow.
The Cure.
Wow. Even though
No. I said which game surprised me. Okay. I loved Azul. Azul is my Zen place.
But this one surprised me.
This one surprised me because we haven't won yet, and
you still liked it.
I still like it.
Okay.
And I leave the losing experience with a positive attitude. You know how rare that is.
Awesome. Anyway. All right. Well, we just covered the new games that Lily played this month. Real quick, another rapid fire session. I'm gonna share some of the upcoming games that Lily and I will be playing or learning in the next couple of weeks. Give a brief description, and Lily's gonna pick 2 or 3 of those that from this brief description excite her the most. First, we have Exit, which is a cooperative game designed by Inka and Marcus Brand, board game design couple. They made the game Encore, which we have played, the roll and write game. This is basically an escape room game, and it's a series of games. And this one here is called the Pharaoh's Tomb, so it's Egyptian themed. And this one in particular, or all the Exit games, are one and done deals. You play them one time, you destroy components even, write on things, cut things up, and you can never play it again. But this is a popular game. We also have 1960, The Making of a President, which is designed by Jason Matthews, same designer as Sola Fide, the Reformation themed game that we played. I know you weren't too hot on this. This is actually one of his more popular games. This is a 2-player only game where each player takes either the side of John F. Kennedy or Richard Nixon, recreating the historical, election of 1960, trying to win the votes in all the different states and so on and so forth. Educational, but at the same time, from what I've heard, a fun game. We also have Amun-Re, another Egyptian-themed game. This one designed by Dr. Reiner Knizia. This is a multiplayer game, auction bidding game, where you're vying for control over different regions in Upper and Lower Egypt. And this is a multiplayer game, so we are going to have to play with our friend Andrew coming up.
Andrew.
But it's probably the culmination of Reiner Knizia's auction bidding games. And for those who know Reiner Knizia, he does lots of auction bidding. Then we have Steam, which is a game where players are building routes, train routes, railroad routes, to connect different cities in order to transport goods from one city to another. And you're managing your income. It's a very tight economy here. You're managing your income in order to be able to do all these things along the way, sometimes incurring debt and making some really, really tough, difficult decisions, sometimes using your opponent's routes that they create and capitalizing on them, but mostly trying to use your own routes because that's how you score the most points. And then we have Kingsburg, and this is a worker placement game, but not just any old worker placement game.
Not Kingsbridge.
Not Kingsbridge. This is a dice placement worker placement game where you roll dice and the dice are your workers, and based on the numbers you roll, that gives you your options as to which spots on the board you can trigger. And all the spots represent different members of the king and the king's court, and basically you're trying to like build your part of, you know, Gainsbourg and grow it and protect it from, you know, enemies that may attack. And you go through different seasons, and in each of the different seasons you do something slightly different. Worker placement, but dice placement, Gainsbourg. So real quick, which of these games, or two of these games perhaps, that catch your attention the most?
Man, I'm really excited. I actually did not do a sneak peek at all of upcoming. I like to be pleasantly surprised, but Harry here knows my European taste in games, so he'll never put me to play Battlefield again. What is it? Battle Cry?
Battle Cry?
Battle Cry.
Yes. Okay.
In that note,
tough decisions, right?
All right. I am an archaeologist. Archaeologist. How do you say that?
Archaeologist.
Archaeologist at heart. I should have probably known how to say it. I am an archaeologist at heart, so I have a deep connection to Egypt. Not because I've ever been there, but because we find ourselves strolling around every museum in town that has Egyptian statues and mummies. So I'm gonna say the Egyptian ones. Oh. Well, this one I've been asking you for a long time to play it. I've been wondering about it. Like, you've told me the story behind the couple. We should make a game. Not that we ever have ideas. Maybe one of these days, you know, genius will strike. It has a dial. I kind of like the dial. And yeah, and this one I was looking at the back, and it sounds like everything surrounds the Nile River. So kind of looking forward to an Egyptian, you know, theme. Maybe I'll wear some Pharaoh attire.
Okay, interesting. I'm actually surprised by your choices.
I'll tell you which the next two. This one.
The next two.
I know, right?
Okay.
This one really caught my attention. It feels like a little bit like Ticket to Ride Meteor.
Yeah, definitely.
And I like the
Meteor. Purple.
If you don't have teal, purple would be my next best thing. And this one feels like it has really great graphics.
Yeah.
I really like the Pillars of the Earth. So for coming back from Pillars of the Earth, this would be great.
Absolutely.
Have we ever played with any of these people?
No, we haven't played. I'm not too sure if these guys have done other games, but I definitely haven't played any games from them.
And this one, you surprised me. I'm not sure. I'm surprised about why I'm playing a political-based game, but hey, I guess I mean,
the game is not about necessarily embodying either political side.
It literally is. You said you have to pick a side.
No, you're gonna represent one side, but it's abstracted. It's a board game.
Anyway,
it's more about learning about the electoral process more than it is about the actual issues that politicians fight over.
I'm glad 1960 took place. I was not born. I think my parents were born then. We were not even in this country then. In fact, I came in this country in the early 2000s, and I have no idea what happened in the 1960s, but I look forward to an educational board game.
All right, awesome. Well, we're going to wrap things up really quickly, just talking about a few games that are on my upcoming wish list where I'm debating and considering games and thinking about Lily in the back of my mind as I think about these games. And Lily's just going to give us a quick thumbs up or thumbs down. The first game that I'm considering is a game called Pret-a-Porter, which is actually designed by Ignacy Trzewiczek, who is actually, or Pret-a-Porter, I think it might be French. Ignacy Trzewiczek, who's actually the designer of Robinson Crusoe. We've already really enjoyed that game. And this is a worker placement game where players are like fashion moguls or something like that. You're trying to like run your fashion empire.
I like that.
Right? Get models and clothing and so on and so forth. So the theme is very unique. It's not your typical Euro style themes like medieval Renaissance, you know, kind of stuff, agricultural. But it's an interesting thing because of that. And mechanically, I've heard good things about it. So what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
I like it.
Okay.
You won me a fashion and mogul. Mogul, you won me, really.
Yes. Then I'm not sure how much of it is the mogul part, but then we have Rajas of the Ganges, which is another Inca and Marcus Brand game, the board game design couple. And this is an Indian theme, like India, the country India themed game. Beautiful board. It's also a dice placement game, so worker placement with dice, similar to what I described with Gainsbourg. And I don't remember the theme off the top of my head, but I do remember the board is absolutely gorgeous. And I know that Lily has visited India, so there's a little bit of connection there.
Not
so,
the Ganges, though.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up. I would like to add yet another game to my Indian nights. Naan bread, like tonight.
All right. And then finally, the last game that I'm considering is a game called Maharaja, which is designed by Wolfgang Kramer and Michael Kiesling, the same exact duo that created Tikal, which we've enjoyed. This is another Indian-based game. It's a little bit, thematically speaking, it's a little bit, perhaps not going to be our cup of tea because it's kind of like a Hindu theme, but it's very abstracted. And these guys have like a brilliant, I've seen some really cool things as far as the mechanics of this game is concerned. So, thumbs up and thumbs down.
I don't know anything about, you said Hinduism? They have like some Hinduism game.
It has some Hinduism there, yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about Hinduism other than when I visited there, but like...
But in a very abstracted way.
I'll get to learn. I'm really all about Indian food, Indian people, India, the country, etc.
Lily's been there again. She's been. I have not. I've
2 weeks.
Been across the street. All right. Well, that's it. Those are the games. So thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at another episode of Lily's Top Games of the Month, or Board Games of the Bride. Please hit the subscribe button, like button, comment down below. Tell us what you think about the games we played, about the games we're planning to play. Thank you all for your support. This is Harry saying goodbye.
Make any recommendations.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.